Giovani Santillan versus Brian Norman Jr. 12 rounds in the welterweight division, 147 pounds. This is going to be a great fight, man. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into it. Let's start with Giovani Santillan. 32 wins, no losses, 17 wins by way of knockout. Santillan is coming off one heck of a performance. I mean, one heck of a performance against Alexis Rosa. You might have been a Santillan supporter, but you weren't really sure how that fight was going to go when he fought Alexis Rosa. You wasn't sure how it was going to play out. His opposition has been cool, right? Not the greatest level of opposition, but it's been solid, right? There's been some fights where they were kind of up in the air. For example, when he's fought Julio Avila, right? A lot of people thought Avila won that fight. I'm sure Norman Jr. and his team probably have been watching that fight, trying to find the right strategy, taking the weaknesses and things that worked against Santillan on that night and trying to implement it on their game plan on the night. I thought Santillan was headhunting way too much in that fight, man. He came out the gates trying to take Avila's head off, right? Avila was making him miss, trying to tie him up, sticking him with the straight hand, right? Pull back counters, and he was doing effective work. And most importantly, moving around the ring and not being a sitting duck, not staying still, making him a tough target to hit. Felt like Santillan was chasing, looking for the knockout rather than being a little bit more patient and controlled in his approach. Avila fought a great fight, man. He was making the right adjustments at the right time, you know, slipping in uppercuts from in close, going to the body. Santillan was having success too, right? His pressure and aggression was a lot to deal with, right? Avila looked tired at times in the fight. And look, I don't blame him, man. That heavy aggressive pressure from Santillan, that, you know, heavy aggressive pressure from any fighter, man, it tires you out because you have to move around the ring and making sure that you are not getting hit. You got to be well conditioned when you're fighting Giovani Santillan. You know what I like most about Santillan, man? He's got a fighting spirit about him, right? He's not a guy to me that really seems like he gets discouraged. The dude just keeps coming forward. Pause. Avila, I felt like he knew how to handle the pressure. I don't think he could have fought a better fight personally. And he never forgot the jab, right? The jab set everything up. And when Santillan had him in range, Avila made him pay when Santillan overcommitted to a shot and he missed. Personally, in my opinion, man, I thought Avila won the fight. Two of the judges had that fight 100-90, which is wild. But at the end of the day, you're never sure how these judges are going to score the fight. It is what it is. Santillan got the nod and he got the win. So we digress and we move forward. Now, in his most recent fight against Alexis Rosa, another undefeated fighter, Rosa risked a whole lot fighting Santillan, man. It was kind of like one of those high risk, low reward type of fights. For Alexis Rosa, on the other hand, man, it was a great opportunity for Santillan to really showcase himself on the big stage and to show that he's not just a guy in the division, but like, I'm a competitive guy in the division. I can be a future champion in this division. I'm one of the top guys to beat in the division. And man, oh man, did he ever put that on display. He was on point. He was sharp. I mean, the man was sharp like an HB #2 pencil. You know what I'm saying? He brought calculated pressure, closing the gap and roughing up Rosa, being way more physical than Rosa probably has ever been in the ring against someone like him, right? Making Rosa seem like he was lightweight, moving him around however he wanted to. Every power punch that Santillan threw, it landed and pushed Rosa back immediately, and he definitely felt it. I don't know if Rosa was prepared to fight that type of physical fight, man. Santillan was determined. He seemed like on the night he was down for whatever, and it seemed like he was in that mindset of, the only object here is to come in and win the fight. And no matter where this fight goes, I'm going to go there, right? His defense wasn't the greatest. It hasn't really been the greatest, right? He wasn't trying to slip shots. He wasn't trying to move his feet. Like, he was trying to make it a pure inside the pocket type of fight, that fire with fire type of fight. And he had Rosa bleeding in the second round. Although Rosa landed some wicked body shots, man, but, you know, he was on his back foot most of the night. He couldn't really do much to Santillan to really get him off of him, right? Rosa's third round was probably the best round, but when you see the blood coming down his face, man, and the mannerisms, you could tell like it just wasn't going well for him. And I picked Rosa to win the fight, but I was wrong. right? Wrong big time. Flat out, Rosa just looked overwhelmed, right? And in the 5th round, man, everything just started to unravel. Santillan just broke him down, man, not just physically, but it looked like he broke him down mentally as well, too. Rosa didn't know what to do, when to do it. He just looked lost in the ring past a certain point, and you can tell the discouragement was very well apparent in that fight. It was a great fight for Santillan, a great night for Santillan, and it seemed like when the fight was done, like he could have went way more rounds. He looked to be in great shape, right? But you could tell he was very determined and got that uber edge on him, right? And it played out greatly for him on the night. For me, it wasn't the fact that he beat Alexis Rocha. Any fighter can be beaten on any given night. Look, it's professional sports, it's prize fighting, it's boxing, but how you beat someone matters. And he demolished Alexis Rocha. Santillan won in impressive fashion. It was an impressive performance, and we'll see what he looks like on the night. But you got to think he's coming into this fight with a lot of momentum. But now there is expectation for him to do well and to carry a little bit of that weight. So we'll see what he looks like on the night. Let's talk about his opponent, Brian Norman Jr. 25 wins, no losses, 19 wins by way of knockout. This is a big step up for the young man, a step up in competition, a step up in skills. This is a big fight for him. It's his first scheduled 12-round fight. Santillan it was his first scheduled 12-round fight against Alexis Rocha. It didn't go 12, but, it's his second 12-round fight. Brian Norman's first 12-round fight. We'll see if it goes 12, right? Norman has got the reach advantage in this fight by 4 inches. Can he use his physical advantages to his advantage? Can he withstand the pressure that's going to come his way? His last fight was against Janelson Bocachica, who's fought some pretty tough opponents, right? And he's done well for himself throughout his career so far. I like that Norman came in establishing the jab and really controlled the first round for the first 2 minutes and 50 seconds of the round. The last 10 seconds, he got way too predictable with his chin up high, and Bocachica caught him with a short right hand, timed him perfectly with that right hand, and dropped him. Right? It was a beautifully timed shot from Bocachica, and it was the first time that Brian Norman Jr. has been dropped before, right? That's the thing about boxing, man, is everything can go your way, and one shot at the right time can change everything. So now we were going to see the character of Brian Norman Jr. How were you going to respond when things isn't going your way? Now, that was a bit of a strange fight too, man, because both men got cut in the second round, right? Both had cuts over their eyes in different sides of their eyes. Norman has a tendency, man, of when he is throwing punches, leaving the opposite hand down, and that is when things work against him, when he's not defensively responsible and keeping his hands up, right? But the second round was better for Norman, right? Landed some nice combinations, some good work. Thought Norman did a good job of reacting, right? Whenever Bocachica threw his punches, Norman returned fire with something to keep Bocachica honest and not allow him to completely steal the round and the momentum, and he would get some of that momentum back to finish the round. Bocachica has very good timing, man. He was able to land some slick shots on Norman that Norman didn't really see coming. But I think Norman being dropped kind of woke him up at the same time, man, and helped him just focus and dial in a little bit more. But again, it's a shame that we didn't get to see how that fight fully was going to play out because it was stopped. It would have been, I felt like Norman was stealing some of that momentum a little bit, but at the end of the day, you never know how things are going to play out, and we'll never know how that fight is going to play out until they run it back. But that was going to be a very exciting fight, man. Before that, Norman fought Quentin Randall. And though he got the win personally, it wasn't the cleanest fight that I saw of him. It looked like he was smothering his work and became a little predictable with his shots and what he was trying to do. He was lunging in, right? Trying to loop shots in or come straight down the middle, kind of like pouncing forward a little bit. I didn't hate the move and what he was trying to do, but I didn't like it too much at the same time, man. It was hit or miss. It reminded me of some of the stuff that Sean Porter used to do, right? Sean Porter used to come in and throw a whole bunch of shots and kind of lunge in, but Porter would always be ducking and coming up and putting shots over the hand, trying to really be physical. And Brian Norman Jr., when he does it, seems like he doesn't fully commit to that leaning forward and trying to really land that shot, man. Quentin Randall's a solid opponent. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that Brian Norman Jr. was coming into that fight just fresh off of surgery with his hand or something like that. So, you know, he was able to come in and probably not fight his best, but that's a tough fight to take coming off of an injury or rehabbing an injury, especially surgery. Wasn't his greatest performance, but he did what he needed to do to get the win. That's the thing about Brian Norman Jr., man, is even if the fight doesn't look pretty, he does find a way to come out on top, at least from what we've seen so far. Usually he's a guy that outworks his opponents and he overpowers them with the strength and size. Santillan throws a whole lot of punches, man, and he's got excellent conditioning as well. And Brian Norman does have excellent conditioning as well, too. When he fought Jesus Perez, man, his jab was excellent on that night, man. I liked his movement early in the fight. Perez brings pressure, and the moment he gets in close, he's letting his hands go from everywhere, something that I'm sure Santillan is going to try to do as well. Perez caught him a few times with the overhand rights. Norman on the back foot, to me, man, is not where he's at his strong suit, right? Because he can't really load up on his punches. He's a decent counter puncher, not the greatest counter puncher, but he's a better front foot fighter to me than he is on the back foot, right? He's got good speed, good athleticism, and he can make that work in his favor if he can find a way to not be stuck on that back foot, and he can be the one pushing the pace and coming forward, right? Perez caught him a few times clean with the overhand right. Man, he got caught with some easy shots from Perez. Perez started letting his hands go, and they started to get through, especially in the 7th round, man. I don't know if, you know, Brian Norman Jr. didn't respect his power too much, but he was getting hit with the same similar shots as the fight was going on. So Norman is going to need to be much better defensively. But of course, we'll see how it unfolds on the night. The great thing is that Santillan is going to be there to get hit. Santillan is going to be there right in front of him. Can he fight fire with fire? Can he fight a calculated fight? Can he be the one that is excellent with his timing and counterpunching on the night? So who wins? As I mentioned, Santillan has a lot of expectations now. You're not an underdog anymore. Rosa was on the verge of a title shot, right, pretty soon, but before he fought Santillan. But after he fought Santillan, Santillan took all that momentum and put himself in a wicked position to be able to fight for a title shot if he keeps winning. Brian Norman Jr. is probably the underdog coming into this fight. He's the younger fighter. He's strong. He's got good pop. He's got his hands full, though, man. He's got to figure out how to keep Santillan off of him and how he's going to handle the trickiness of a southpaw, right? Every fighter wants a signature win, a signature fight. And this is a great opportunity for Brian Norman Jr. to get that signature win. And though Brian Norman Jr. is in tough, man, I don't think anyone should count him out, man. I think he can get it done. I think he can win this fight. I think for me, both men, man, it's just going to be which version of these men are going to show up on the night. Right? Is it going to be the Santillan that fought Alexis Rocha, or the version that fought Avila, or the version that fought Bonet? Right? Which version of Brian Norman Jr. are we going to get? I think he's going to need to raise the bar here more than he has in previous competitions before against Santillan. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night for him, man. But at the same time, I do think he has the skills and the talent and the ability to come out on top and to win this fight. I think it's a closer fight than many people think, in my opinion, personally, man. You know, while I was watching certain tapes and just getting certain readings for it, you know, I was leaning Brian Norman Jr. I still think he can win this fight. But, man, for me, I'm starting to lean the other way. I wanted to lean towards Brian Norman Jr. to get the win, but I'm not confident that he can win this fight fighting off of the back foot, right? He's not hard to find. Neither is Santillan. He's not hard to find either. But I think it's going to work against him on the night, man. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to outwork Giovani Santillan on the night. But if he can get behind the jab and fight a strategic and calculated fight, man, he can definitely get the win. But as of now, I'm leaning towards Giovani Santillan to win this fight by decision. So that's my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Who do you think wins this fight and how? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're enjoying the content, enjoying the videos, then I hope you do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share this with a friend, and definitely we'll see you next time.